So we're going to continue in Matthew. And we're up to, believe it or not, 41. So we're almost done with the whole Jesus Disciple series. But this is episode 15, and I do apologize for the 2 weeks off, but God was shutting my mouth. All right. So let's go to Matthew 22. Matthew 22. And I like to read all of Matthew, each one, like we read all of Matthew 12, because Matthew has a lot of good stuff to say. So I like reading the whole thing. So we're going to read the whole thing, but out of Matthew 22 is 3 of them. I think it's 3. So let's start. Matthew 22. And Jesus answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my failings are killed, and all things are ready. Come unto the marriage. But they made light of it, and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. So here he's saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a wedding. It's like a king having a wedding, and the king is inviting you as a guest. I don't want to go to that stupid wedding. But the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies, and destroyed those murderers, and burned up their city. Then saith he to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. So here, the kingdom of heaven is like the marriage of the king, right? He offered everybody to come. And they went and played with the money, the farm. They could care less about the kingdom of heaven. So it was wiped out. And now he's telling the servants to go and gather as many as you can find. And so let's go 22:11. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, Bid him hand and foot, and bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen. Now we haven't heard that 1,000 times, right? And there's lots of people who are called. You see this all the time. There's so many good people, and you, me, all the people here. And what do? We do stupid things that keep us bound in the satanic matrix. Oh, we're so distracted about, the aliens are coming. This is happening. The sources on earth. Darkness is coming. Come on. It's ridiculous. I just heard from somebody, and I have to share this because it goes with this. Somebody sent me an email because telling me, did I know the light was trapped in the satanic matrix? Please, the light cannot be trapped in the satanic matrix. Because where there is light, darkness cannot exist. So when you start seeing and you accept going to the wedding, going into heaven, and you accept this is my direction, face to Jesus, but to Satan, this is where I'm heading, no matter what. When you start doing that, then you start to become aware of what's going on. You can really see it. It becomes so obvious when somebody says something like, I'm working with Source, and the light is trapped on the earth in the matrix too. The light cannot be trapped. The creator of the whole earth can't get out of the matrix. Come on. And there's so much out there like that. And those are the ones that are being called to the wedding. but refuse to come. Or they say, oh yeah, I'm going to show up. And what are they dressed in? That old expression, a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? They're not dressed well. What you see on the outside is not what's on the inside. So 22:14, for many are called, but few are chosen. So they came to the wedding. Yep, I believe in Jesus. Oh yeah, I'm helping get the light free from the darkness. That is not someone who believes then. They can't. And that's okay, but they're not the chosen ones. Okay, 22:15. Then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they might entangle him to his talk. And they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Master, we know that thou art true, and teachest the way of God in truth. Neither carest thou for any man, for thou regardest not the person of men. Tell us, therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? But Jesus perceived their wickedness, and said, Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? So what's he saying here? They're coming up to Jesus saying, we know you're the way and the truth. Yep. And you teach the way of God in truth. But what do you think about this? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? You know, it's kind of like I say to people, I'm sure you've all said, people come up to you and you know there's another hidden meaning and they ask you something and you look at them and you go, what do you think? I'm stupid? You don't think I know what you're asking? How many of you have said that, right? Well, this is the same as Jesus going, are you kidding me? So 18, but Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? That's the same as saying, what do you think? I'm stupid, you morons? Okay, that's not Jesus's words, but that's New York translation. So now we go into Matthew 22:19, and this is our number 1 for today and number 41 for the whole series. Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. And he said unto them, who's in this image and superscription? They say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things which are God. So today's is render to Caesar. There's a whole world, a matrix that is made up. Money, the whole thing. We all know about it. And what's Jesus saying? Give them what they want in their matrix. Let them have what belongs to them. But let God have what belongs to God, which is you. Unless you choose. And if you choose, you're part of the matrix. You came here to do the will of the divine. It's free will. It doesn't mean it's choice. Choice belongs to darkness. The will of God is free. And it is inside us, the Spirit of God. And when we do the will, we're in line with the Christ life. So Matthew 22:19 through 21. Render to Caesar. Now let's continue with some supporting scripture on this. Let's go to Mark 3:6. Mark 3:6. And the Pharisees went forth and straightway took counsel with the Herodians against him, how they might destroy him. So here the Pharisees were already planning, which is what Matthew says, right? Matthew 22. They're planning to hang him out. This was one of those questions like, do you still beat your wife? You know the old expression, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't? Means you used to. It's one of those trick questions. And Jesus so eloquently answered it. Let me see that coin. Whose face is on this? This belongs to Caesar. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. And they sat there going, he outsmarted them, outwitted them, out everything, because he's in divine truth. So let's go to Romans 13:7. Romans 13:7. Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. Give to, let that attract what they want. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give your tribute to whom the tribute is due. Same thing. It's all about, but give to God what belongs to God. And what belongs to God? The Spirit of God is within us. Don't you think we kind of belong to God? It's God's Spirit. It was breathed into us on the breath line. It was breathed into us. It's who we are. All right. Moving along, let's continue with Matthew 22. We're only doing 3 today because I don't know how long my voice is going to hold. So we're only going to do 3. But we're going to continue with Matthew 22 because I really love Matthew. You know, if you haven't read Matthew, read Matthew. I love Romans and Matthews. I mean, oof, they're all good. They all have something powerful, but for some reason, I take a shine to them. All right, Matthew 22:22. When they had heard these words, they marveled and left him and went their way. So let me go back. So this is when he said, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Matthew 21, they say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. When they had heard these words, they marveled and left him and went their way. What they did is their jaw was dropped. They basically were made fools of, in a nice way. Again, New York terminology. The same day came to him the Sadducees, which say that there is no resurrection, and asked him, saying, Master, Moses said, if a man die having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up seed unto his brother. Now, there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased and having no issue, left his wife unto a brother. Likewise, the second also, and the third unto the 7th. And the last of all the women died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? For they all had her. Jesus answered and said unto them, Ye do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry, nor are given in marriage, but are as angels of God in heaven. I want to read that line again because most people don't even know this. For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as angels of God in heaven. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have you not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. Right here, this is probably one of the most important things. I say this all the time. It's why you always hear me saying the living God. You should not be using the term God unless you qualify it with the living God, because Satan goes as God. It's right here. He's God of the dead. What does Romans 8 say? You have two sides, the law of life or the law of death. You choose a side. God rules those sides. The living God rules the law of life. The dead God rules the law of death, the matrix. So Matthew 22:37 says, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put these to silence, they were gathered together. The Pharisees got what? PO'd. Right? The Pharisees were like, ugh. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? So now they're trying to nail him again to a cross before the cross was even out there, right? Jesus said unto him, this is Matthew 22:37, and this is our next one, our number 2 for the day, and 42 for the series. Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Matthew 22:37, number 2, love the Lord. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Physical, mental, emotional. With all that you are. Okay, so let's go to Deuteronomy 6:5. Deuteronomy 6:5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. Luke 10:27. Luke 10:27. And he answering said, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. I find it interesting that Deuteronomy says with all thy might, Luke says with all thy strength, and Matthew says with all thy soul. In other words, it's everything that's you. With every belief you have, you should love the Lord. With every essence of your being, love the Lord. So, number 2 for today, 42 in the series, Matthew 22:37. Love thy Lord. Another one of Jesus' commandments. Continuing on with Matthew. So Matthew 37 again, Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Number 3 for today, 42 in the series, love your neighbor, Matthew 22:39. And the second is like unto it. The second is like the same as loving God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. You know what the saddest part of all of this is? How much do we love ourselves? You know, I have seen people go, oh, I love my husband, I love my wife greater than life itself. And then you watch them abuse themselves. You only maintain the level of love that you have for yourself is all you can give to another. So when you say ironic things like, oh, I love my husband, I give up my life for him. What does that say to you? Or vice versa, I love my wife, I give up my life for him. So you're saying to me, you love them more than you love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, then are you loving God? Are you loving the Lord, thy living God? Because in thyself is the Spirit of God. You must first love yourself enough to awaken to the Spirit of God that is you. Once you do that, you are divine love. The Christ light is divine love. It can't be anything else. And then and only then can you love somebody at the level they should be loved. So what Jesus is saying here, and the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Many people treat their neighbors like pieces of crap. But guess what? That's how you treat yourself. If you cannot love your neighbor, then you can't love yourself. And most of the time, we don't. And if you take a moment and you just sit back, how many of you were in bad relationships or did the same stupid relationship over and over? How many of you do the same stupid thing that causes chaos in your life over and over? Is that loving of self? Nope. But we're getting there. So, number 3, love your neighbor, 22:39, Matthew 22:39. And then it continues, 40, on these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So, what are the commandments? What does he say first? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Love God first. If you love God more than anything, and God is within you, what happens? What starts happening to you? You start learning to love yourself. And then this is the first and the great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So if you're loving yourself because you truly love God, and you are God, the Spirit of God is within you, then you can love your neighbor as you love thyself. And just think how great this world would be if we did all this. If we were aligned with this. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Everything. Everything. That's what he's saying here. Everything is based off of this. Everything there is in life, in heaven, in everything, is based off of this. So let's go to Leviticus 19:18. Leviticus 19:18. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Don't hold a grudge with anybody. Don't avenge yourself. Don't avenge. That's in simple terms. That's getting even. Revenge is sweet, right? Avenge is like revenge. But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So this comes down to this, and let's ask this question. How many of you have mastered the art of beating yourself up when you do something stupid? Ooh, 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 me, ooh, 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 ooh. I am a master at beating myself up when I do something stupid. Can you say the same for yourself? Some of you, maybe not. Maybe you just let it go. So I beat myself up. Why? People have different reasons. Maybe you didn't do something perfect. Maybe you're in fear of when you were a kid, you get in trouble if you didn't do something perfect. You have to be perfect. You screwed up. Or I want, for me, most of my screw ups are I'm trying to negate. I have an issue. I am 100% focused on following the will that was put into me, what I'm here to do. And my mankindness, third level being, brainwashing pops in once in a while. And I let God down. I didn't let the divine down. So, how long do we beat ourselves up for? Ooh, 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 ooh. Couple of days, weeks? Maybe years ago we used to do it for a year. Now maybe we're only doing it for a week, maybe a couple of days. We're getting better. But in the old days, oh man, I never let it go. I couldn't believe how I screwed up, right? Now, maybe a week it's gone. But I still need the week, right? I need the week of moaning and complaining. Look what I did. What an idiot. That kind of thing, right? So, am I bearing a grudge against myself? I'm angry with myself. Does this resonate with any of you? Let's go to Matthew 19:19. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Matthew 19:19. Honor thy father and mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, the interesting thing about this, and we're not just talking about the neighbor where you live, we're talking about the whole world. Those who are racist, I don't care what the race is, black, white, purple, green, yellow, orange, I don't care. If you're racist against a people, that's your neighbor. If you're racist against a gender, that's your neighbor. Oh, I hate women. Oh, I hate men. All men are stupid. All women are dumb. Whatever the comments are. That's your neighbor. You're breaking Jesus' commandments. Think what the Spirit of God inside of you does when you do these things. It's like the Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz. I'm melting. I'm melting. It just shrivels up because you're telling it to go away. I want no part of you. You're saying to the very Spirit of God, I don't want love. Now, it does not mean let you be walked all over. No, that's not what this means. Love thy neighbor as thyself. So if somebody is being purposely nasty to you, would you stay around and be a doormat? No. That means you love yourself. It's the same with your neighbors. But every time you judge somebody, that's what racism is. It's nothing more than judgment. I'm better than them. That means they're worthless. And I'll tell you something else that most people don't know. When you judge someone, you're really judging yourself. So if you're a racist, you hate women, you hate men, you hate blacks, you hate whites, you hate purples, you hate greens, you hate yellows, you hate whatever other colors out there, right? That's you hating yourself at some level. But don't take this to the other end and be an airy fairy. Oh, I love everybody. And you become the biggest doormat known to mankind. That's not what this is about. All right, let's go to Galatians 5:14. Galatians 5:14. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this. Listen to this. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The whole law is fulfilled with just that. Because if you love yourself, you love the Lord, the living God. It is inside of you. And that is how we should love each other. But we can't even get there. We don't love ourselves yet. So to go around and go, oh, I love you. I love you. Oh, I love you. Are you kidding me? Try loving yourself. Most of the people who love everybody lack love for themselves more than anybody. Those who search for love is because they don't feel it within themselves. There is no love on this earth greater than the love of the Spirit of God that is within you. And if you are searching for love, it means you can't find the love of the Spirit of God, which means you're not connected. All right, let's continue with Matthew 22. Matthew 22, 41. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them, saying, what think ye of Christ? You know, he's like, okay, you all ask me questions. Now it's my turn to ask you a question. What think ye of Christ? Whose son is he? They say unto him, the son of David. He saith unto them, how then doth David in spirit call him Lord, saying, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. If David then call him Lord, how is he his son? And no man was able to answer him a word, neither durst any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. You know, there's an old expression, the boy's got an answer for everything. No sense tempting him. When you're in the spirit of the divine, the living God that is within you, when you're in there, the answers flow easily and effortlessly. You don't think, you don't engage the third level programming mind. It comes from inside. And they could see, oh my goodness, he's one with the Lord. He is the Lord. Interesting, huh? So that's the end of Matthew 22, but I want to go on to one more little thing here. How many of you heard the saying, love your neighbor, hate thy enemy? It's everywhere. And there are actually those evangelists, some evangelists or ministers out there or people out there who actually claim to preach the word of the Lord. I don't know how you could preach the word of the Lord. That's like an oxymoron to me, because this here, this is God's letter to us. It's the biggest letter anybody ever wrote. So how can you preach someone else's letter? That would be like if I wrote a letter to, I don't know, Leana. And I wrote a letter. And it had a lot of good stuff in it, right? So somebody picks up the letter and says, ooh, look at this. This makes a lot of sense. And then goes on a speaking tour. Hey, I'm preaching this. How can you preach what was already written? Does that even make sense? There's nothing to preach. I can read it. I can explain it. I can shine light on it. I can let people know about it. But how can I preach it? Let me see something here. I want to show you something. Okay, so here's the definition of preach. Deliver a sermon or religious address to an assembled group of people, typically in church. Deliver a sermon. Let me tell you what sermon means now. You ready for this one? A religious speech. A talk on a religious or moral subject, especially one given during a church service and based on a passage from the Bible. Based on. So, what's a sermon? A sermon is someone's interpretation of the words. Do you know how many churches don't even read the Bible? How many of you are ever Roman Catholics? I mean, I used to go to Catholic church when I was a kid. They just stood up there. They never read the Bible. Never. They would just take a passage and give their own opinion on everything. You need to read the words, and you can shine light on the words. And you could say, you see what this is meaning? And if it makes sense with you, great. But if it doesn't make sense with you, don't take it. Even with me, if it doesn't make sense, it's okay. Because this book is written in such a form, it's a matrix of layers. It's so coded, it's encoded like you can't believe. And depending where you are in your awakening, it will say a different thing. So many of these preachers who preached the letter of God, the address, the book, he wrote us a letter. He addressed everything that was going on. Made sure we got it. Came here, saw what a mess it was in. Went around. Talked to people. Explained what the word meant. Used parables so that those who had the eyes to see and the ears to hear would know, not those who did not. That's how encoded this book is. It was kept from the dark side. Those minions of Satan. But they go around, and you've all heard it. Many of you, maybe not all, I shouldn't say that, but many of you have heard Love your neighbor, but hate your enemy. That's how wars are started. We got to hate them. Hate is a satanic thing. So Matthew 5:43, let's go to Matthew 5:43, because this is where it comes from. Let's go all the way to Matthew 5. Hold on, 6, 4, 5. Okay, Matthew 5:43, and it states this. Ye have heard, this is Jesus talking. Ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Doesn't say hang around and take it. It says pray for them. All right? So that's where the saying came. And there are those who say, you see this? Right here. Jesus says, love your neighbor, but hate your enemy. Is your enemy not your neighbor? If everybody on the earth is our neighbor and our enemies are on the earth, are they not your neighbor? Doesn't say agree with them. Never says agree with them. Never. It says basically not your job to judge. Judge the deed, not the individual. Okay, so if you're judging the deed and you see somebody kill somebody, well, yeah, you know that goes against the divine. But who are you to judge the one that did it? I often wonder how many people could have killed somebody they loved out of rage and didn't, because that little voice was there and they could hear it to stop. Stop. There are so many abuses, spousal abuse, whether, abused women, abused men, they're beaten up and everything. And as soon as it's over, I didn't mean it, I love you. That individual has love in them. They just are so programmed and so sucked into the web of Satan that's the interface that Satan pushes the button and they go off. There's so much pain in them that they do these horrible things. There's so much fear, pain, anguish, anxiety. And where does all that come from? The satanic control. So when you see somebody doing a deed that's horrific, whoa, doesn't say go and make them your best friend, but don't get judgmental on them. Don't hate them. If you have to, squint your eyes, see if you can find the one spark of light left in them if you have to. But know that they are absolutely no different than you. They are a child of God, heir to the throne in the kingdom of heaven. And Satan took his little lasso, snagged him, and is pulling him in. That's one of God's children. That's one of your brothers. Love your neighbor. That's one of your brothers and sisters that's being tugged down into the satanic matrix. What they did, But it's not your place to judge because you don't know why they're here. And you know what? I have met people too in my entire life. I've done sessions with over 5, 6, 7,000 people in my life. Easy. Over 10 probably now. Okay? And I have met people that I have no doubt in my mind came here to go, down deep into the pits of hell to learn about it. So when they finally came all the way up, they knew the facts and they could teach, they could present. And that journey up may take 6 lifetimes because they lost themselves in there. And who are we to judge what they came here to do? Who are we to judge what God breathed into their beingness to accomplish? The will of God. Maybe some got pulled off track. That's when they need the light of God to remember. So the next time, if you choose, negate, ab initio, the next time, if you desire, if you choose, which is satanic, if you're choosing, that means you're not under the will of God, because what is the will of God? The will of God is to love Him. So let's just say you're all under the will of God. So the next time when you see somebody doing something horrific, don't judge. Don't do anything. Stop. Even if you don't know their name. You're watching somebody treat an animal crappy, or maybe somebody smack their kid across the face in front of, whatever. Stop. Do a little snapshot, who they are. Sit on a bench. Put them right next to you and blast your Christ light. Hold them in the light of God. And let the light of God flow in them if they choose, and through around them. If they accept it, it's not a choice at this point. It becomes an acceptance. It's still a choice because they're sitting there. They're still in the darkness. Maybe that's all they need. It doesn't mean you got to go run and break bread with them. He says, pray for them. He doesn't say go kiss their butt. Pray for them. The Spirit of the living God light within them. And how do you do that? How do you assist that? There is no time and space. If you imagine Him sitting next to you and you blast your light, you call in Jesus, you ask Jesus to sit on the other side, blast His light, because there's no other light. He's mastered it all, right? He's got the light of God. He is the living God. Jesus is the Word of God, the living Word of God. So He is the living God manifested on this earth plane. Blast with them on the bench. You'll get a little extra. And that individual, maybe just something will click in them that'll make them start pulling back on the lasso that Satan has on them. And maybe that's all they need to turn around and remember who they are. But Jesus never, ever, ever, ever said, love your neighbors and hate your enemy. And I have heard way too many ministers, preachers, whatever, evangelists, whatever you want to call them. I don't really care. I call them liars. I've heard way too many of them say, love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. That's what Jesus says. No, that is not what He said. Okay, makes sense? Let me open this chat up. So let's review real quick. I forgot to do the review. Oops. All right, so number 1 for today, Matthew 22, 19 through 21. Render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Render to Caesar. That's 41 in our series. Number 1 today. Number 2. Matthew 22:37. Number 2, love the Lord with all your soul, heart, mind, strength. Love the Lord. Matthew 22:37. It's number 2, 42 in the series. And Matthew 22:39, number 3, 43 in the series, is love your neighbor. Remember, though, you must first learn to love yourself before you can love anybody else. And that means stepping into the Spirit of God that is within you, accepting it and being it. All make sense? All right, so now that we have it open, how many of you have mastered the art of beating yourself up? Just put an M for master. Cheers. Why do you think that program is written? Satan purposely did this. So let's do this for a minute. Picture, if you can, my physical body splitting open and seeing the Spirit of God within, just this massive light. Just picture that for a moment. And then we close it back up. Close the face back up. Mouth comes back together. I say things like, oh, I can't believe how stupid I was. How did I let this stupid idiot do this? How could I do this? How stupid am I? And then open it up again. And what do you see? That light. That's what I'm calling stupid. God, the living God's light, I am calling stupid. So, the next time we want to beat ourselves up, which I'm telling you, I don't think anybody masters it better than me. Although, I will say, that's the perfectionist me. I will say, Bobby Joe, she put a lot of pluses next to her, and she might be up there with me. But we've mastered insulting Lord Jesus. We've mastered insulting the living God, Jehovah. Satan doesn't insult them. We do. Think of how many people in this world, I'm not saying it's you, oh, I hate myself for doing that. You know what you're saying? I hate God, the living God. Ay, caramba. And you know why you have to not love, but send love and pray for your enemy? Because who's your biggest enemy? Anybody? Self. You should be putting your own butt on that bench 20,000 times a day and blasting your own Christ light, going, Mama, wake up! If you could truly love yourself, you could step into the Spirit of God. And if you're in the Spirit of God, you're no different than Jesus. And you could move mountains, we could do everything, but we're too busy hating ourselves. Pretty ingenious plan, isn't it? By the dark side. Hi, I'm Leana from PowerPassionFreedom.com. If you liked what you heard, why don't you come and join us on Sundays? We do a whole free question and answer period followed by a meditation. Bring all your questions. All you have to do is go to powerpassionfreedom.com to register for Sunday. Oh, and don't forget to like us and subscribe to us below because we're always adding new meditations and content and you don't want to miss out on it. I'll see you Sunday.